I want to close every app behind it. Just make sure there's
Okay.
good signal. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Ba, ba, da, ba, ba, ba. Yeah, sorry, you've just caught a bit of us, the technical difficulties of shutting down apps and stuff like that. But as you know who I am, I'm King Fred. I'm 1/4 of the Vinyl Vandals. Shout out to Julie, it was her birthday yesterday. Shout out to Riddler, and shout out to John. And over to my guest.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Frankie Tontoh, and I'm chatting with my great cousin, King Fred, and welcome to everybody.
Yeah, salute. Obviously, I'm over the moon. It's great to get guests on from different walks of life to talk about their favourite fives. This is a special. It's not a hip-hop one, although I would argue and say hip-hop's definitely been influenced by some of the music that Frankie's been involved in. I've heard
Absolutely, that's true. That's true. There's some in here. Definitely.
I've
a couple, actually.
I've heard some of the famous people using not only Frankie, but Frankie's well-known father's music in their sampling, in theft of music. But we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. I am over the moon because obviously it's not just getting a guest on, it's getting somebody on from my family. My family is a very musical family, and I'm over the moon that Frankie's agreed to do this today. So thanks a lot, Frankie. Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome, Freddie. Yeah.
We will talk about your long history in music and the family history of music. But before we do that, I think it's best to set the scene by starting with your first album. So pick your first album.
First album would be it's The Headhunters.
Yeah.
By Herbie Hancock.
Okay. There we go.
From 1973.
Nice.
Okay. I actually got my name on it. Look, I used to sign all my vinyl. Look.
Not for the school disco.
I actually signed my name on every record. So that I used to own about I had about 4,000 or 5,000 vinyl. When I left home, I think my stepmother kind of got rid of most of them, but I kind of rescued quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And glad I rescued kind of the most important ones. This is really important to me.
Right.
Because this is when I first thought, I might want to do this for a career one day. Yeah. Because Herbie Hancock, everybody knows Herbie Hancock, right? No?
Yeah. Well, if you're a hip hop dude, if you're a hip hop dude, you'll know something like Rocket by Herbie Hancock.
Yeah, exactly. Rocket's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is his first album because he was a jazz guy from he played with Miles Davis.
Yeah.
For I think 5 years in the 60s, and then he went on his own and he did a lot of really kind of psychedelic, sort of out jazz for about 5 years, and then this happened. This is at the time, this was the biggest selling jazz album for years and years, actually. Actually outsold Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. But this, only because Herbie went kind of fusion, which is kind of a mixture of funk and jazz, or rock and jazz. This is the seminal fusion album. It's got the great track on here called Chameleon, everybody knows. It's been sampled heaps.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, Chameleon. That's the main track off here. There's another one called Watermelon Man. That's been sampled a lot by hip hop artists.
Okay.
And this has got at the time my favorite drummer was on a really famous drummer, played on hundreds and hundreds and millions of albums. A guy called Harvey Mason, who was just incredible.
Okay.
Good story with this, right? This is. I mean, of course, I was introduced to all this by my dad.
Yeah.
He's a trumpet.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. Don't worry. Yeah.
And there was, we come to that. But I remember I was about 11 years old, and I think it was the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah.
Okay. Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman.
Right.
1974. Right. And I didn't know this, but my dad said there was a few people coming round to watch the fight.
Yeah.
It was a big fight. Back then, it was a massive fight,
Fight. Yeah.
And he said, he's got some people come around to watch the fight. And I didn't know who they were. but years later I found out it was 3 of these 4 guys.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super connected, right?
Yeah.
It was 3 of them. Herbie Hancock wasn't there, but the other 3 came to the house. I was like,
Okay.
whoa, this is deep. This is like when I was much older, I thought,
Yeah.
like, this means a lot to me, this record, because I met 3 of the guys on here when I was 10 years old, 11 years old, 10 years old. And then, of course, everything that I did from there on was probably influenced by this. Incredible record.
Okay.
Yeah? So that's the first one.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the title track, really, Chameleon, because it's like, I think who sampled it? Dum 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 dum.
Oh yes. You know
the one.
Quite a few artists. Yeah. I know.
You know them.
Quite a
Yeah.
few artists have sampled that. Yeah, I didn't know what you meant before, but I do now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one.
Yeah.
That's been hot sampled a lot.
Yeah.
And Chameleon that's the Chameleon, and Watermelon Man was like originally one of his songs from his jazz days in the '60s.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit for. It was actually like a big hit for another guy called Mongo Santa Maria.
Right.
But they updated it on here to make it more funk.
Right.
And it's like, and again, I can't hum that one because it's a bit complicated, right? but it's got. If you hear it, you'll know there's loads of samples on there. All right. But yeah, that's my seminal first album. I was 10, 11 years old, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good part. Let's stop there with your records for a second. And for me to say, obviously, tell the people at home who don't know, you've said that you're my cousin, okay?
Yep.
And you're my true cousin.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we were brought up more like brothers and cousins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. You want to tell everybody how we are related?
Right. Well, my father and older brother is your dad, right? Yeah. And your dad's the oldest of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah. And my dad is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's 4th. Yeah, he's 4th.
Right. Okay.
He's 4th. He's behind Auntie Aggie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's your dad, Teddy, then Auntie Aggie, then my dad. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how we're related. So in the summers when I first came.
Hang on. Is that right? Yes. So there's my dad.
Yeah. There's Uncle Teddy.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Aggie.
Yeah.
And then my.
Then
Auntie Elizabeth.
Then Uncle Jojo.
Uncle Joe, yeah, that's it, yeah. yeah.
So that's the first. You missed one, yeah.
We'll go into that, yeah.
Because you know what will happen if we don't mention everybody, we'll get into trouble. We'll get in trouble. Make sure I mention everybody. Yeah, okay.
I've always, shout out to the whole family. Yeah. So we had the 6 of them, and so my dad was the 4th, and the 4th and the 6th, and the 4th and 2nd one put a band together.
Yeah.
Teddy was a saxophone player, and my dad was a trumpet player. Formed a band, an AfroRock kind of hybrid called Osibisa.
Yeah.
Osibisa. And that was early 70s. And the first album was just called Osibisa, and it went gold, which is, for those of you who don't know what gold is.
Oh, back then, what gold was back then.
Gold was 500,000 copies, which is a lot back then.
Yes.
I mean, in fact, it's a lot now, to be honest, because record sales are not the same anymore. And that was amazing.
It's a big deal. A big deal.
Really big hit, yeah. And then there was a second one, which was also really big, produced by the same guy.
Yeah.
I think it was produced by the same guy. That was also a pretty big hit, and they were touring around the world with Santana, because Santana were like Latin rock, and my father's band was like AfroRock.
AfroRock,
right?
Yeah.
So they were touring with bands like Rufus and Chaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, and then even the Rolling Stones. The 2 of them actually did a Top of the Pops.
That's right. Saxophone,
yeah. Saxophone trumpet.
Brown Sugar.
The Rolling Stones. And Brown Sugar, yeah, that's right, yeah. I haven't seen it for years. And so they did it, they were pretty successful early on. And then they had a third album, which is we'll come to that later, which is when I came from Ghana.
Yeah.
At the age of 8.
Yeah.
My album was blowing up the spot when I came over.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that one. That's later on.
Yeah.
So Fred and I are proper. Is it first cousins, right? Of course, yeah.
First cousins, yes, and but like I said before, whether it's first cousins, second cousins, or whatever it is,
we're brothers really, because I used to spend the summers in Newcastle because my dad was always on tour.
Because your dad was the Osibisa, like you just said, we're blowing up the spot all over the world. We're getting invited by sultans, Arab sheiks and not to go and do gigs in the Far East and all over.
Fiji, Hawaii,
America, Asia, this way, that way. So obviously you had to be looked after because your dad was all over the place, and you used to get sent up to Newcastle to be with us. Because we were similar age, we and you were all over the place together. And funny enough, it's a bit like now with my son and my nephew, my sister's son, who lives in London, because they used to get sent up and put forward, either Newcastle or London. Same thing.
Same thing.
Also,
your son used to come down here, yeah?
Yes, that's right, yeah. Or Ruben would come up here. And me and my dad would look after Ruben and Asher, and spend the whole summer, half the summer here and half the summer in London, just like you.
Wow. Yeah. Just like me. It was quite a few summers, because I remember definitely 74, 75, 76.
Yeah.
And then you used to come down here too, didn't you? As well?
That's right, yeah. I used to come down and go photographs, yeah. That big hill, big hill in North London, yeah.
I got those, yeah.
That was the first time I remember. Go on. The first thing I remember is your dad said to me and my little sister, just went to McDonald's, and we said, "What's that?" We'd never even heard of a McDonald's before. He said, "Do you want a milkshake?" And the only milkshake I'd ever had was a Nesquik. You know them horrible powder things. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not having one. I'm not having one of them." And he sent you to go and get us some, and you came back with these milkshakes and McDonald's. I've never had a McDonald's before. The only thing we ever had was like fish and chips. That was about all we'd ever had, And you came back.
It's a rough up north, but not so now, right?
Yeah, and it was a chocolate milkshake and a strawberry milkshake. You came back for me and Michelle.
Yeah. Like, that's what they used to do. Chocolate and.
This is ice cream. We thought this is like soft ice cream. This isn't milkshake, because the only milkshake we'd ever had was Nesquik powder, horrible stuff. Yeah. Different world, London. Different world, London.
You were really poor, weren't you?
Yeah.
You guys were really poor.
Yeah. Took Newcastle a long time to catch up to London. I've got to say.
I know. I remember going up there every summer. And we had such a laugh, because it wasn't really a culture shock, because I was fresh from Africa, you see, so it wasn't like London was that different from Newcastle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just even at that age, I wasn't aware of the race thing, people saying things like, calling me names was the same,
Yeah.
But I loved it up there, because it was like, same age, similar age, me, you, and Michelle, your sister. Yeah. So it was really, really great kind of learning that. But I never supported Newcastle. I don't know why.
Yeah, you traitor. You didn't even support the teams.
I know.
Leeds United. What's that about?
I don't know. What happened to it? I don't know what happened. I should do, but I'm always thinking of you guys when they win, which is not that often. Anyway, so
be careful.
But so I spent my childhood summers quite a few years in Newcastle, and bonded with you guys, and it was just like the best memories. I remember a lot, so my memory's really good, and it was just the best times. And I think my dad was like this. He's just like, I could have gone back to Ghana for this summer, or whatever. I could have gone to other cousins, but he trusted your dad, his older brother.
Yeah.
And it was, because he'd been here, and he knew, he'd been in England for a long time.
And remember, when your dad first came to this country as well, he came spend time with my dad.
Oh, right, that's right, yeah.
And he used to go to the jazz clubs in Newcastle, like there's one at Haymarket, and that, come on, what it was called now. My dad always mentions it. I'll have to get my dad to write it down for us. But he used to go in there, and you could find your dad in there playing his trumpet, and everybody being around him.
Really? Was he jamming with them? Yeah.
Yeah, in the jazz clubs in Newcastle, he was well known. Yeah.
So what year would that have been then, you think? Early?
Oh, I don't know. What I'm going to have to do is, I keep saying it, but I'm going to have to start sitting with my dad and writing things down just to keep it, because it's important to keep all of that stuff and remember
That's
it.
right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
put it all together.
I think he came here I got a feeling he came to the UK in '69.
Right.
I've got a feeling, my dad, yeah.
Okay.
But Uncle Teddy was already here.
Yeah, that's right. He came and he had a group, didn't he, Cats Paw?
Because he came to study. He was studying
music, yeah.
Yeah, I think he came here to study, and then he formed a band, and then he sent for my dad.
That's right, yeah.
And then, of course, 18 months later, I mean, they did a lot of gigs. I used to bump into people, right, when I started becoming a session musician, and I meet people all the time. They go, "Oh yeah, I saw your dad's group at the Plymouth Guildhall in 1971." Yeah. You know, and I saw him at Loughborough College in 90s. I'm like, wow, these guys must have done a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Making really random Coventry Art Centre and all this, you know, really weird kind of places. I thought,
students loved them, though, didn't the students and hippie types and like, you know, like social workers and that ilk, they loved them.
Yeah, it's kind of little small colleges, but they were building up what do you call it, a fan base and a reputation for being like an amazing live band.
Yeah.
So when I came over, I used to go, I hadn't started school yet because my stepmother hadn't arrived yet. So I was kind of like always hanging out with him.
Yeah.
So I used to go to their rehearsals and just watch these 7 crazy guys just making a right racket. And I remember looking like the drums. I said, wow. So I went over to Uncle Sol and I used to kind of, you know, mess around. All kids do that.
Frankie, we'll stop there a second because I think that's a good stop. We'll come back to that. I just want to get another record in first, yeah? Before you do, that one that you had, what's your favourite song of that Herbie Hancock one? I didn't ask that.
Okay, my favourite one actually isn't the ones that I mentioned.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Right. My favourite track on here is called Vein Melter.
Vein Melter?
Yeah, vein, like your vein. You're like V-E-I-N, yeah. Melter, yeah. I used to fall asleep to that one, just like used to in a trance. It was just, it's really slow, really atmospheric, but an incredible performance from all 4 of them.
Yeah.
5 of them. So yeah, I don't go for the obvious. But if you want the obvious, the most amazing bit in Chameleon is about 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Is this, there's a piano solo, a keyboard solo on it, which is kind of one of the greatest solos ever. But I go for Vein Melter. All right?
Okay. All right. Put that down, and then what's your next pick?
My next pick, and unfortunately, a lot of these are from the same year, which is, I mean, it's kind of like how I kind of was making decisions even at that age.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what so that year was really important. The second one is when I was kind of settled. You know, I settled in and I started, you know, I was about to go to school. My dad used to play this one album all the time, like at weekends and all the time. Like, he used to have like about 4 or 5 albums, but this one he used to play all the time. So every tune on this album, he used to just, I mean, I'm familiar with every piece of music on this record because it was like, I'd be cleaning a car, it'd be on the weekend.
Yeah.
Cleaning, polishing the brass on the doorstep, it'll be on. Hoovering, it'll be on. And he used to just rinse this record because I think it was one of his favourite trumpet players, and it's this one. Donald Byrd.
Oh, Donald Byrd, yeah.
Blackbird, yeah. Donald Byrd, Blackbird by Donald Byrd. Yeah. It's quite seminal. Again, tons of sampling on this one, Fred.
Yeah.
Tons.
Okay. Nice. It's a nice picture as well. I like the
yeah, it's a really good, really like 1920s, but yeah, 1920s. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, because he's a trumpet player, just like my dad.
Yes.
And, he absolutely loved him, and he used to rinse this record. And to this day, I still hum one of my favorite track on this. Every now and then, I always go back to this, but it reminds me of like growing up in the UK and absolutely hearing this constantly, where it just sticks with you. This, and again, the same drummer from the Herbie Hancock album.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Yeah, it's really weird. The same drummer.
What's the drummer called?
Harvey Mason.
Harvey Mason. Okay.
Yeah, he's really. He became a solo artist
Yeah.
as well, and had loads of hits as well. And in fact, his son, Harvey Mason Jr., is part of the R&B production team called the Underdogs. You heard of them? Underdogs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The Underdogs produced, oh man, in the 2000s, they had every slow jam is produced by the Underdogs, and his drummer's son, Harvey Mason Jr.
Okay. Interesting.
And he's really well known. And it was him and a guy called Damon Dash. Is that his name?
Damon Dash.
That's him.
Damon Dash. Yeah. From he's Rockefeller Records.
That's the dude. I think. Yeah. I think they had a team called the Underdogs. I'm sure that was one. And so Harvey Mason Jr. is now, his son is a bigger producer, like his dad was a great drummer, producer as well. So he's the drummer on here. It's kind of lost a theme. Suddenly I'm listening to him all the time. And then, see, back then I didn't really credit them. Look at this, look. I never really credit the musicians on it.
So it says here that they produced it's Babyface and Harvey Mason Jr. Babyface was a well-known R&B producer. Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. They produced stuff such as Drew Hills, These Are the Times, Faith Evans, Pink.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of people. Rodney Jerkins.
Yeah. Well, his son is just really clever.
Justin Timberlake, Omarion.
Yeah.
Lionel Richie. Victoria Beckham. This goes on.
You name it.
Kelly, Chris Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. That's his son, who's he's a monster. I don't think his son plays an instrument. I'm not sure, but he's just,
it'll be in him. It's going to be in him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a musical royalty, Yeah. And imagine that you're a kid like me, hanging around with your dad, who's like the biggest session drummer going in the world at that time. Yeah. You meet. I saw in an interview with him, and he was just talking about, and then I met Quincy, and then I met Michael, and then I met this person, and so he was just basically born into that.
Yeah.
Amazing producer, but his dad is he's in my top 5 drummers of all time. Okay. And he seems like an amazing guy. And then Omar got him our own Omar. He got him to play on an album called This Is Not a Love Song by Omar. Yeah. And I was like, wow, you got Harvey Mason to play on your album, It's like, wow. Because Omar and I are very close. I was in his band for about 15 years or something. Yeah. And he got Harvey Mason, he was my hero. He got them to play on his record. Nice one. Anyway, so the reason why this was really popular with all the Rare Groove guys, is because it's produced by Larry Mizell, right? Yeah. Now, he's part of the brotherhood. They're called the Mizell brothers, right? Yeah. Larry and Phonce Mizell. Phonce Mizell and Larry were the producers. They were part of a team of producers. I forgot what were they called, the team or something. They produced ABC for the Jacksons. Oh, Jackson 5. Jackson 5, and a lot of Motown stuff. Okay. And so his brother, who plays trumpet, produced this, and it became like again, it's like a sort of jazz funk soul kind of thing, Yeah. The producer on here had many hits with other artists in the same style, and then he went and ruined it with Boogie Oogie.
What? He ruined it with what?
Boogie Oogie Oogie.
Oh, what's that? Yeah, I'm gonna Boogie Oogie.
Yeah. That was, I think, one of his last. A Taste of Honey. That's it.
Right.
Get on up on the floor, cause we're gonna boogie.
You're saying you spoiled it, but it's a very popular song.
Terrible song. Anyway, so he ruined his legacy with that song. But anyway, he was a god for me around the time because he produced about 4 Donald Byrd records.
Yeah.
And all of those four, they're all like classics. Like a lot of sampling went on there. And anyway, so this is my second choice because I kind of had to clean my dad's car on the weekend, hearing it through the window and cleaning, polishing brass.
And that's, obviously nobody can argue with Donald Byrd, can they? At the end of the day, So
no. But a quick story. So, when this happened to me a lot, like all the guys I used to listen to, I eventually got to play with quite a few of them, right?
Yeah.
Work with a few of them. Anyway, so Donald Byrd, now at that time, he's probably in his mid-70s. He's a doctor now and everything. He's coming to the Jazz Cafe to come and do a gig. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the house band at the Jazz Cafe.
Okay.
Right? So we played any American artists that came over, we were the band, right?
Yeah.
So Donald Byrd is coming over, and we rehearsed for 2 days without him, and he's going to come on the Friday. We do 2 nights, Friday and Saturday. He didn't show up to rehearsals. Cool. And then the first gig, he didn't show. And it turns out that the guy was still. They were waiting for him at the airport or something, and he happened to be still in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because apparently, this is what happened. He looked out the window in the morning, saw snow, right? Saw snow out of the window, and he thought, I don't really want to fly to London today. So that was it. He didn't show up. Yeah.
Wow.
We did the 2 shows without him. Yeah. Yeah.
The people
and
not
then he died maybe a couple of years later.
He
didn't come through.
The people not complain.
Of course they did. But we got on with it. We actually did it without him. Who did we get? I think we got a saxophone player to cover for him.
Right. Hip hop dudes out there, remember 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago, whatever it was, we went to the Jazz Cafe in London to see Stetsasonic. Guess what? They didn't bloody come. So stay away from the Jazz Cafe. It's a bad omen.
I remember them. Yeah, Stetsasonic, I remember them. Yeah. They just don't show up. Like, obviously, they send them I think they send kind of half payment or something, right?
Yeah.
And I just think, you know what? I can't be bothered. I think that was his problem. He was quite an old guy then by then. So it's like, he probably opened the curtains and thought, nah, I'm not going to London today. Wow. But, so I nearly got to work with Donald Byrd, but it didn't happen. And he died a few years later.
Okay.
That's my second choice.
What's your favourite song?
Oh, the song from here. Okay, the song from here is... well, there's a version of Marvin Gaye's "Where Are We Going," which is like because Larry wrote that, and he wrote that for Marvin Gaye. But my favourite track on it is called "Love So Far Away."
Okay.
Love so far away. Love so far away. That's my one.
Okay, cool. Because what I'm going to do with a lot of these, Frankie, is I'm going to go and check them out. When I'm doing my walks, I'm going to do some of these and check them out.
As I say, you hear some samples on them, Fred, that you probably know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Donald Byrd.
Donald Byrd, a million of
Donald Byrd. Even people like Gangsta sample them. Yeah. And
what's the one they did? Was it Stepping Into Tomorrow? No, what was it they did? Oh, we gotta think twice. Your love is better than nice. Something like that. Yeah. Think Twice has been sampled a lot by what's his name? The DJ who died. Big DJ he used to use a lot of jazz samples. I've forgotten his name. Go on, name me some DJs. Premier.
Dilla.
Dilla, yeah.
Dilla.
He uses Think Twice on quite a couple of albums.
Right.
By what's that Detroit band? What do they call the Village?
Slum Village. Obviously his band. Slum Village.
Slum Village.
Yeah, Slum Village.
Yeah. Detroit Deli or something. What's it called? Detroit Deli?
I've got a couple of Slum Village albums.
There's something.
Yeah.
I think it's called something Detroit Deli or something like that. That album's got Donald Byrd all over it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I interrupted you before. Okay. So your dad is a famous trumpeter who played with Osibisa, a Ghanaian, with his brother, my uncle Teddy. So my uncle Mac and my uncle Teddy. So your dad Mac and my uncle Teddy were in a band together called Osibisa. They were the founding members with Uncle, although he's not blood, but Uncle Solo Morpheo, yeah, and obviously a number of other people.
Yeah, Solo Mafia.
So at one point, your dad really wanted me to be a trumpeter, and he sent the trumpet up for me to have and everything. You know, unfortunately, I could never get trumpet lessons and that. Your dad really wanted me to be a trumpeter because you weren't one.
No. I was a drummer. I wanted to play drums.
So how come you never picked up the trumpet? How did that happen?
I did. I mean, it was because it was around the house all the time. We had loads of them. So I did, but I couldn't get a note out of it. And I remember this, right? Because I used to go, you know, as a kid. And as I say, I get it when I'm playing now. Like, kids just gravitate to drums.
Yeah.
You know, it looks easier to go like that than make a note with, you know.
Yeah.
And so I did. I used to go over to Uncle Sol's drums. And that's why. And then there was one day, I don't know how the story happened, but I think there was a young drummer absolutely blowing up the spot at the time. And he was 18 or something. He's playing with a rock guitarist called Jeff Beck. And his name is Richard Bailey.
Okay.
Right? And his brother was the keyboard player in Osibisa.
Yeah.
Which is Robert Bailey.
Robert
right?
Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Bailey, right. And so Richard was like the prodigy, like 17 years old, amazing drummer. But his story, I think he told me, was that he had an endorsement deal with somebody and they gave him some drums, but he gave them to my dad or something like that. And the drums ended up at our house.
Yeah, okay. Right.
That was it. That's the story. And they were in the front room.
In the front room, you used to go in your house, turn left, and the drums.
Turn left, and it's right there. You know what my dad used to call it?
The window alcove, wasn't it? The one in the window.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what my dad used to call it? He used to call it the vibes room.
I loved your dad's house. With
yeah.
With the cushions on the floor, the golden stool. Yeah.
All the cushions on the floor. And what else used to be in there? Oh no, the waterbed was.
All the carvings. You know, the carvings and the blooming animal skin stuff. Remember all of that? And the drums, bongos.
I do.
Yeah, all of that sort of like the dumbbellies.
And the 70s brown carpet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All of that. I loved your dad's house. I loved it. With the beads hanging down. Remember the beads?
The beads hanging down from the door. Yeah. But there were beads on every door, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Beads on. It's just to fight your way through the house like this. Kitchen door, living room door, the vibes room door. There's just beads everywhere. It was a real hippie house.
Yeah.
And then I used to go to my uncle's down the road, my Uncle Teddy's.
Yeah.
He had a water bed.
That's right. And a cream carpet.
And a cream carpet. And at the back of the house was this little, what do you call it, conservatory, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And it had really dark in there, and it had like
cushions
everywhere, and then the water bed.
Incense.
And I was like, wow, these guys are proper hippies. And I remember like going there and thinking, oh, no, that's like a man cave, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what the drums were put in the front room, and I just started playing, and my mother would just tell me to be quiet. So for years and years, I just remember when I was playing, you know, I would never play loud enough because of her.
Yeah.
You know, even when I became professional.
Yeah.
Because it was all.
Yeah.
Frankie, shut. Right, and I get shouted. So 6 o'clock, I had to stop. So my first ever gig, years and years later, with a quite a well-known band actually called High Tension.
Yeah. And
they were like the British Earth, Wind & Fire at the time. And I was 17, and I remember the guy saying to me, "You don't hit hard enough. You don't hit hard. What's going on?" So I didn't have any technique, and I was just going like this. And I remember I nearly snapped this bone in my wrist because I was playing really bad technique. So I blame my stepmother for that one. But I nearly broke my hand because I was overplaying it. Yeah. So I practiced in that living room when she wasn't around. And that's how I didn't play trumpet because of that, really. I just loved the look.
Yeah, just interesting. You know, it's not just the fact that your dad was just like, well, I'm not saying just, but like it was a musician or played a bit of guitar or whatever like that. It's just your dad was a famous musician, you know?
Yeah.
Known all over the world. you know, they've been credited as being the ones who invented world music that we know. You know, when you go to HMV,
Yeah, they would say that. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, when they say that, they mean, look, I mean, you could throw Santana in there
yeah,
because there was a Latin rock. You know, they brought the
yeah,
Latin thing into the rock world. But but when they say world, they mean the third world, really. You know what I mean?
yeah. But
You know what I mean? They mean Africa and India.
yeah,
So when they say world music, they don't really include Brazil and Cuba and
but they used
until
to.
much later
They
because
used to.
world
They
music.
used to. So you know, like if you go in, if you know, when you used to go to HMV in these record shops, they would have a world music section, didn't they? You know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but it'd be mainly music from like the third world countries like India and Africa.
Non-Western music.
Yeah, non-Western, basically. You know, but then you think world music should include Cuba and
Well,
Puerto
world
Rico.
music means the world. The world isn't just two continents.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they were like pioneers, I would say, of that music because it was like the blend of the Western and the African music.
Yeah.
But the influence of the African thing at the beginning, when they first started, was much more than the West.
Yeah.
It was more drums and percussion and
Yeah.
you know, and it was really more traditional with basically the 4 Africans in the band. There was 4 Africans and 3 West Indians.
That's right. Yeah.
4 Africans were steeped in the African thing, you know, the drumming and the high life, and then the 3 Caribbean guys were more the rock.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they were more westernized, so we say, you know. So they probably blended that really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were pioneers, definitely. I would say Latin rock, Santana, AfroRock, Osibisa. That's it. You know. And
So where do you put Fela Kuti in that then?
Well, he wasn't as big at that time, though. That's the thing.
No, he wasn't.
No, I don't. Although I would say, but the thing is, right? When he recorded in 1969 in LA, right?
Yeah.
Fela Kuti.
Mm-hmm.
What's it? Kulo Labitos. Well, that's it. And when you hear that, it's kind of early stages of what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You think, but when you hear that, you also hear Osibisa in that.
I was just saying that the other day, and I was arguing with somebody.
Yeah. You hear on that Kulo Labitos sessions in LA he did. You can hear it's totally because don't forget Fela Kuti and my dad were really good friends.
Yes, yeah.
You know, because Fela spent a lot of time in Ghana. You know, Fela could speak Chi.
Okay.
You know, yeah. So they were very good friends with my uncle as well. So I think the sound came from that, and then Fela's thing became more Nigerian as it went on.
Yeah.
But in the early days, it just sounded like he was searching for something.
Yeah.
And I think Osibisa came in that mix as well. You know, he's trying to find his way. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Fela's thing was like he heard James Brown.
Yeah.
He said he heard James Brown.
That.
And put that in there with his thing, you know, with the high life, and that was it. Yeah. You know, and the same with you know. I mean, I used to speak to my dad and say, "Where's the influence from?" Because not the African bit, the rock bit. And he said, "No, man, we were touring, we were listening to, you know, they were listening to James Brown as well, but they were listening to a band called Mandrill, all these weird names and all these weird bands that they were listening to at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's a mixture of all that, jazz, rock, funk, folkloric, you know."
Interesting.
But anyway, so next one.
We'll come back to that next one, please, yes.
Okay, next one. All right. We're getting through this. Right, okay. So this is also from 1973, right? Again. But this is another one he used to play a lot. And this is the first time I heard Brazilian music, really. You know, my dad was a massive record collector. You know, he used to have so many vinyl records. And this one, I just like the cover, right? I remember seeing the cover. The cover's really like, boom. And I thought, you know, he used to play a lot. And I first heard these kind of Brazilian rhythms in it. And we used to dance in the front room to it. It's really weird. And then years later, I did an album and I covered one of the songs from this album.
Okay.
Yeah. So it means a lot to me, this record, because it really reminds me of my dad a lot, because it was just, he used to just sing the bits, the vocal bits in it. He used to sing it around the house randomly.
Yeah.
And then his mates would come over, a great saxophone player called Ray Allen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He used to be in an orchestra in Ghana with him called Uhuru.
Right, yeah.
The Uhuru dance band. And they were really close. And the two of them used to just get, smoking their thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
They'd be like, yeah. And then they will get absolutely hammered to this album here, right? And I just love the cover.
What's the album called? Sorry, I can't see it.
Fingers.
Fingers, yeah. And what's that?
Yeah. Ayeto.
Ayeto Fingers.
Ayeto. Yeah. There's a called Ayeto Moreira.
Okay.
Right. Ended up, he played with Miles Davis. So he came up from Brazil to America, and then he played with Miles Davis in around 1970. And then he signed with this amazing record label called CTI, which is another seminal record label, Creed Taylor Incorporation.
Yeah.
And he this is the first time that this label allowed him to use his own Brazilian musicians.
Okay.
Because the albums before was all the giant jazz musicians from the label. And but he really, I met this guy years later, and he said that he fought so hard to get his own people on this album to play, and it's incredible, really great record.
Yeah.
And there they are now. That's the band there.
Oh, nice one. Okay.
Yeah, really great cover. I love these gatefold ones.
Yeah.
And where is it? Where is she? Oh yeah. And over here is his wife.
Okay.
And she's really famous as well. Her name is Flora Purim.
Okay.
Right? And she's a singer on the record. And this, Fred, is big. Because on here, this record, Fred, is big. You know why? It has one of the greatest breaks in history on here that you would know, right? So every World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Amazing how my favorite records became kind of out there in the ether.
Yeah.
Right? Every World Cup, you'll hear the theme from this famous song called. The song is called Tombo in 7/4, but there's another name for it. It's called Celebration Suite, right? Tombo in 7/4. Now, if I were to sing it to you, you'll know it, right? Everybody sample this, and it's big. Na 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 na. Yeah. That's from this album.
Yeah.
This masterpiece. Every tune on here is just.
So that actual tune, I thought it was quite modern. It's old, is it?
It's really old, yeah, 1973, and it's written by there's these two, the drummer and the drummer and the keyboard player from his band, the Fatuoso brothers. They're from Argentina, but they lived in Brazil, right? Yeah. And then he wrote that song.
Okay.
He wrote that song with him. So I've got a great story for that. So this is where that is from this record, right? So everybody, the original is this, not that cheesy stuff you hear. Right? When you hear these cheesy versions of it, I remember the World Cup in the Football World Cup in South Africa.
Yeah.
Because I remember they were using that as the theme. Mm-hmm. All right, one of the themes, right? And I remember, as I said, I'd already covered a song on here called Wind Chant. It's another big tune, sampled. And I remember meeting, he came over to do a show in the Queen Elizabeth Hall, Ayeto. And I was in the same rehearsal room as him. Right? It's really funny. And I met him outside. I was like, wow, oh my God, I met Ayeto Moreira, legend, And I said to him, hey man, I did a cover of a song from Fingers. He goes, oh yeah, that's when I used my own band. And we talked about, that's how I know the story. Like,
Okay.
yeah. And then he said, I said, yeah, I've done a cover of Windchime. He goes, yeah, really? Yeah, okay. And I was like, he doesn't really care, you know. He just kind of shrugs and goes, so what? Because he was going to the bank with the royalties from,
yes,
you know.
yeah.
He didn't care that some little guy from London has done a cover of a song. He's just thinking, yeah, but how much money am I going to make from that? You know, because Tombo 7/4 was the anthem.
Yeah,
you know, it's big. So yeah, so this means a lot to me, and this actually cost me £87.
Whoa. Okay. But if you love it, you love it. So you'll pay it, won't you?
Listen, it's got the original label, bro. The original label, man. Gatefold. I went to Record and Tape Exchange, and they said it's 84 quid. I was like, damn, I'm having it. I'm having it. Yeah, so this is a big one for me. Every tune is a winner. I still play it to this day. I still play it a lot because it brings back really good memories.
Nice one.
And my best friend Courtney Pine loves this as well.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. We'll talk about that next. We'll come on to that.
He loves this one as well.
Okay, right. So
Tombo in 7/4.
Tombo in 7/4 is your favourite off there, right? So
Tombo. Yeah. And then in 7/4. Yeah.
7/4. Okay. I'm going to check these out. Don't worry. I'll let you. I'll give you my. Yeah. I'll get my scorecard out higher or lower than that. But anyway. So you're playing drums. Your dad's all around the world. You've started playing drums. And then you go to college, don't you? From school to college. Yeah?
Yeah, I went to a couple of schools, yeah. I wanted to be a footballer, but my dad wasn't really keen on that.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I remember seeing Cyril Regis, and I thought, no, it wasn't Cyril Regis, it was Clyde Best.
Clyde Best, man. Clyde Best for West Ham.
It was like Clyde Best. And I thought, yeah, I want to be a footballer.
Yeah.
West Ham, yep. One of the first black players. And then later on, it was Cyril.
Even though I was in Newcastle,
Cunningham.
Used to always keep his card. I had, the football cards he used to get.
Yeah,
I had that pinned to my wardrobe because it was a black player. And even though it was Newcastle,
the first black player.
Yeah, Clyde Best.
I read his autobiography not long ago. And it was like, wow, he really took. I mean, these guys complaining now about racism.
Yeah, well,
in football.
We know.
They want to go and live in his shoes.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking you're getting it. I know the social media thing's out of control with the racism, but this guy. When you read those books, and then later on, it was Laurie Cunningham.
Yeah.
Was it Brendan Batson and Cyril?
So yeah.
Cyril Regis. So I was like, I want to be a footballer. Nah, it's not going to happen. African families. Nah.
Yeah. You were lucky to be a drummer, never mind the football.
Yeah. I mean, even that. The drumming bit was like, yeah, okay, you can be a drummer, but you got to learn another instrument so you can write music and make money.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to college, studied piano.
Piano, I was going to say, because you can play piano as well, can't you? Yeah.
I studied piano.
Yeah.
And studied drums.
Yeah.
At Trinity. Yeah. Piano at Trinity.
At college, you met one of your lifetime friends, didn't you?
No, at school.
Was it school? Okay.
Yeah.
So you just said that there. We tell everybody who that was.
Okay. So my best friend is Courtney Pine, CBE.
Yeah.
Oh, I dropped that. My best friend is one away from a knighthood. Okay. So we grew up together in northwest London.
Yeah.
He came to our school quite a bit later from Paddington. That's where he's from. Mm-hmm. And I'm from like Harrow kind of way. And so we kind of just bonded immediately because there weren't that many black kids anyway. And then 2 black kids playing music. That was it. And I took him home one day to kind of show him around the vibes room. That was it. We started playing together. My dad heard him and thought, oh my God, he's amazing. I said, yeah, that's my boy. He's amazing. And he always had more talent than I did. But I had drive. I wasn't as talented as him, but I had a drive because that's what my dad had,
Yeah.
He had a real drive.
Yeah.
I mean, Courtney was just amazing, and I was like, wow. So so the summer of, oh man, what year? 79 or something like that. We were like on it, just practicing, 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 practicing,
Yeah.
And then we got into a band. Well, I got him into a band through Ray Allen actually, and Ray Allen met Courtney, and he was like, wow, he's amazing. And I said, here he goes. And Ray Allen and his friends have just produced a band called High Tension.
Yeah.
Who had 2 big disco hits, massive hits.
High tension.
That's what we are, superstar. To the British hustle, to the British hustle. Yeah. And the guy, lead singer of that, Jeffrey, is his sister and Courtney met, and they're still together this day. 4 kids later. 4 kids later. So yeah, and so we got in that band and we toured, but I wasn't good enough then, Fred. I was as I said, I wasn't a very hard hitter, and they wanted me to play like Freddie White from Earth and Fire. It's like, and I was really thin and skinny and not very strong. So they fired me, right? And they kept Courtney, and they fired me, kept Courtney. And he met June, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I was like, oh, so I started practicing. I remember, I'll never forget this. Courtney one day came around my house, goes, do you know what a paradiddle is, right? Which is this, right? Which is right, left, left, right, left. That's it, right? Right, left, left, left. I said, no, I don't know what that is. He goes, right, I've got a book for you. And he gave me this book, and he said, practice that. And he really pushed me. And I was like, I started reading music like he could. And he's the most influential guy, apart from my dad, he's the most influential guy in my life, musically, as a friend and everything. And so I practiced. But then we went like this. I went off with my dad's group for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then he went with a reggae band called Eastwood and Saint. Remember them?
Clint Eastwood and General Saint.
No, we've got Clint Eastwood and General Saint.
Yes, I've got some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he went that way, and I went that way with my dad.
I never knew that. I never knew he was with General Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Oh, for a while, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we went that way, but we were still really into jazz, two of us.
Yeah.
And hopefully that one day we'll get into jazz. And then so I did my 4 years with my dad around the world, amazing, traveling everywhere. 4 years apprenticeship.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that,
yeah. So Courtney went that way, I went that way. And then we got back together about mid-80s.
Yeah.
And right about that time, he was like the biggest news, right?
I remember.
Yeah. So he was on the cover of every magazine. He was 21 years old. He's like the new hot shot, the next big thing. I was like, wow. And everybody was taking pot shots at him, and he was really strong. And, because at that time, we formed our first orchestra. Because we tried to the 2 of us tried to get into a few jazz orchestras that wouldn't accept us, So we said, well, let's form our own, right? So we call it the Jazz Warriors.
Jazz Warriors, yes.
And that was me, him, and his wife, actually, June. So we formed that. And then we started getting pelters saying, why is it all black people? Why is it only all black?
I remember.
Yeah, I was like, hang on now.
On things like Blue Peter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cracker Jack and Blue Peter and stuff like that. Yeah.
He was getting. I mean, because at that time, the reason why he became really popular as well, apart from his amazing playing, is that around about 1984, 85, Blue Note Records re-released nearly all their catalogue. So jazz was like there, and you got the Marsalis brothers, and it's big. So jazz is big, and England needed a hero or somebody to stand up. So at that time, he was the obvious choice by all the magazines, handsome guy, but then the media kind of wanted a white hero.
Yeah.
But there was this guy called Andy Shepherd, right? And so they kind of pitted him against Courtney.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on now. So then we formed the band, and they kept giving a hard time about why it was all black exclusively. And I was like, well, that's because we were kind of rejected quite a lot from other white bands. And then they never, ever questioned. There was another 21-piece all-white orchestra called Loose Tubes.
Okay.
Right? And they had 21 of them, and the 21st musician in the band was Black, the South African percussionist. So they said they could justify it. No, it wasn't a race thing, right? So I had 20 white guys and one, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. So we formed it, we started gigging, and then he went more, well, he signed a record deal and kind of just took off, you know. It was like the first album, Children of the Ghetto, all that. He just took off. He just took off. And I was like, what was I at this time? I stopped playing jazz, I think. I think my first tour, I don't know, by default, the jazz thing just went. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I think because Courtney went that way. I stopped playing with my dad's group, 86. And then, I don't know, by default got into the pop and funk thing. So, you know, commercial thing. I don't know. It wasn't by design. I still think myself, even now, as a jazz musician.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah. But, you know, yourself, the thing with trouble with jazz is it rose then and it fell again.
Yeah.
It rises and falls, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It does. All the time.
Blue Note Records, Blue Note Records came out, and a lot of hip hop artists started using it. Like Us Three, remember them? Us Three?
Yeah, but they used the Cantaloupe Island, by Cantaloupe Island by Herbie Hancock.
There you go. Yeah.
It all comes out.
Yeah, it goes round, comes back again, comes with a different.
But the mid-'80s thing was massive, massive.
It was.
We're all wearing ties and suits, and everybody. There's like Julian Joseph, Steve Williamson, Courtney, Jason Rebecca, hundreds of us, all jazz, because it was really promoted. Then it just died. Yeah. Again.
Yeah.
But Wynton Marsalis kept it going, you know, and we, you know, but it goes up and down. But now you've got it's back again because in New York now it's big again because there's a lot of young jazz musicians who mix in the hip hop with it. You see, there
is, but there's also a lot of black young people that are getting back into jazz as well because of hip hop. They've started checking out the jazz. And they've started buying jazz records because they're digging in the crates, getting the old boxes from their dads. Going to record shops because vinyl's big again, so people are rediscovering it.
Well, I don't know if you saw that story recently where there was some white woman accused that young kid of like stealing her phone.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the young kid is like 13 or 14, and his dad is a famous, quite well-known jazz trumpeter.
Oh, okay, right. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he's really quite well-known jazz guy. In fact, he played with D'Angelo. He's one of the one players with D'Angelo, and he's got his own thing. And you know, so they're kind of like he's one of the big forces in that world. They play mixing the jazz with the hip hop. You know, there's a big scene. I mean, there's so many of them doing it. It's great, and also traditional guys as well.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. So jazz is kind of around. It'll never die. It was a famous quote by Frank Zappa. Jazz isn't dead. It just smells funny.
You can see that about hip hop at the moment sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, it's gone a bit weird hip hop. Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, that's the up to the 80s, and I went to more commercial. I think my first tour was with a Kool and the Gang or something like that. It was really weird. It was like 21, 22. Went all around Europe. Then I kind of toured with Level 42. I toured with, oh my God, all these random rock and pop guys.
We'll come back to that because that's a good point to stop there and go to your fourth choice for now. Yeah.
Fourth choice. Okay. So now the reason why I think I went that way, and Courtney went that way, and I went into the more commercial thing. I was taking piano lessons at a college in Baker Street called Trinity College. Mm-hmm. And I used to walk past this hour price every week. Mm-hmm. Right? There was a McDonald's and then an hour price. I was in and out of those two. So I get the train from Harrow all the way down to Baker Street, past the McDonald's, walk past Our Price, and I heard this record. I thought, oh man, it's amazing. What's that? Because Our Price, they used to play, in the record stores back then, really loud, right? Really, you could. sorry, what is this record? You know, shouting at the guy really loud. I was like, wow, I'll have to go in there. And I went in there and I said, who's this? And he goes, I was a guy from a band called Steely Dan.
Yeah.
So I said, I never heard of them, you know, at that time. I was just a jazz head at that time, right?
Yeah.
And because I never listened to music with vocals up to this point, apart from my dad, you know.
Yeah.
And I heard this record, I thought, man, this has got jazz, it's got vocals, it's got harmonies, it's got amazing drumming and playing on it. This is where I changed and I went all out into the kind of, I like everything now, rather than just jazz and African music. And it was this guy. Right. So his name's Donald Fagen.
Yeah.
He's one half of Steely Dan. The other guy died last year, was it? Yeah, last year. Yeah, shame. It's called The Nightfly.
Yeah.
This record, Fred, kind of defined where I am right now at that time. 1982, and it has all the big guys on here, so all the great jazz musicians playing popular music.
Yeah.
Which was quite a common thing back then, you know.
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell had that, the Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald, him, Ricky Lee Jones. Man, there's so many people around that time who had jazz influences, but also used jazz musicians to play their own kind of commercial music. So it had a different flavor. Pretty much like Motown. You know, Motown's all the Funk Brothers are all jazz musicians.
Yeah, okay.
All the musicians from Motown, they're called the Funk Brothers. They're all jazz guys. So jazz people playing popular music, quite a different twist.
Yeah.
It was a bit like this for me. And so this guy, I heard it from the shop. I've got my name on there, look. Founder member of Steely Dan. And so this is a conceptual album. It's based in the late 50s when he was growing up.
Right.
And listened to jazz on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a big fan of jazz. But you know Steely Dan. Hey, been divorced. And are you reeling in the years?
Yeah, and De La Soul.
Back, Jack, do it again.
Yeah, I know Steely Dan. Yeah, obviously De La Soul knows Steely Dan as well because De La Soul used them on their first album.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, De La Soul samples Steely Dan a lot. Yeah. Now this. So it's a concept album about America changing in the late 50s, for him anyway, in the 50s where the Cuban Missile Crisis and, you know, like him kind of getting into the future of, you know, basically where America was going to go in the future, I think. Yeah. And it's just got 8 of the most beautiful songs ever written. Yeah. And the drumming and music, it was really polished as well, which I was kind of into at the time. Because jazz wasn't really polished, but this was really polished, really overproduced. But I loved it because the songs are great. I learned all the pieces on piano from here.
Right.
Yeah, I could play all the pieces on here on piano. And yeah, so that's my final. There hasn't been an album since that has kind of. There's one more, but you said 5. There's one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard choice. I was in the garage with my daughter, Abner, for about an hour going through them. I was like, oh man, this will be good. Oh, but Dad, you're only allowed 5. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so this is the final one. But there's one more album many years later that changed my life. But this one changed me because I went from wanted to be a jazz musician to being like an all-rounder now.
All-rounder. Okay. And what's your favorite song of the album?
Because it's jazz, really, but with a contemporary backing.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite song up there? Did you say?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Well, it's the one I can really play well on piano. So, I'd say, what did you say, Maxine? Maxine.
Maxine.
Yeah, Maxine. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like an old jazz standard, but with a really modern touch to it. Yeah, you could say The Nightfly as well, because it tells a story of a DJ that he used to listen to when he was a kid, a radio DJ.
Right.
It's called Lester the Nightfly. You know, like really late at night, and he's Tennant
All right,
and
okay.
listen, he played jazz.
Okay, cool. So put that
Yeah,
down
so
now.
that's a good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you've went one way, Courtney Pine's gone the other way, and it was about that time that I started sitting at home, put on Top of the Pops or Cracker Jack or Blue Peter or Magpie.
Good Peter or
And I'll be sitting there with my friend and say, "Oh, there's my cousin Frankie. Oh, there's my cousin Frankie." Yeah.
I was playing with everybody. Yeah.
Playing with everybody. Do you want to give a roll call? I know you'll not get them all in, but can you give everybody a flavour of how many people you've actually played with?
Hundreds. Okay. So around that time, so late 80s. Okay, so we can go Level 42, Tasman Archer, Tanita Tikaram, Aztec Camera. Oh my God! Oh, go on, keep going. Okay, so I'll go a bit further. Omar, Carlene Anderson, Ronnie Jordan, Paul Young. Really?
Yeah.
They worked with him for a while. And then mid-90s, George Michael. Did quite a few years with him, about 8 years. George Michael.
Yeah.
I did George Michael. Then, okay, who's before that? And around. Okay, then later on it was Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
Craig David.
David.
Harry Barlow. Oh man, are you right? I should have written them down.
I didn't write them all down. I know in the 80s was a lot more than that because that was.
It's a lot more than that. I know.
Whether it was the Tube, whether it was
Definition of Sound.
Eh?
Definition of Sound.
Definition of Sound. Yes, Definition of Sound.
We were on the Word. I remember that.
Yeah, all those shows back in the day. I remember just it actually got boring because and the funny thing is my friends would never believe me. I'd say, "Oh, it's my cousin."
Yeah.
And I never forget. The time I went to the. This was later on, but I bought tickets. I was just going through a divorce with my first marriage with my son's mom, and some barmaids were saying, "Oh, come out with us," and so we went and bought some tickets to go and see Craig David. We were sitting in the audience at the Newcastle Arena, and I'm sitting there, and I knew you were touring. Michelle, my sister, had told me that you were touring with Craig David and all of that, but I'd forgot, and I bought tickets stupidly.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I looked, and I says, "Oh, that's my cousin," and we're like, "Shut up! What do you know?" I go, "No, it's my cousin," and they were like, how come you bought tickets? I said, "Oh, I probably could have got free ones, but I just forget because he's always touring with somebody." And I rang you up and sent you a message, and then as soon as the show had finished, you rang me back. As soon as you went backstage, and you said, "Stay," and then we went and met you, didn't we, afterwards, and that, and it was just like
that's right. I remember. Yeah, I remember that really well.
Amy Winehouse.
Okay, well, you said the 80s, right?
That was
okay. I've got a couple more.
Yeah, go on. All of it.
Roachford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack Bruce, who's was a bass player for Cream.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's see. Edwyn Collins. Remember Orange Juice? Oh
Orange Juice. Yeah.
Lulu.
Yeah. All of them. Oh yeah.
Oh, and Desiree. And Gabrielle.
Yeah,
you remember her? Yeah. And Matt Bianco. Oh my gosh. I've just got, who else?
What was it? Did you do something with Carmel?
That's right. Oh my God.
Carmel.
You know what? That's not even on my CV. Yeah, Carmel. The two guys, they're from Manchester, aren't they? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Carmel. And the jazz side, I was doing a few things as well. Ronnie Laws, I worked with him.
Okay.
Who's, he did the original Always There. You know that song, yeah.
Yeah.
You know the Incognito Always There, yeah.
Yeah, Always There, Incognito.
Yeah. That's me. I work with him. Who else? Oh gosh, Desiree Gabrielle had a small.
So within that.
Oh, hang on. I forgot. Josh Stone. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Josh Stone, Al Green.
Uh-huh.
Lamont Dozier.
You write them all down.
Oh gosh, who else? Shola Amma. I loved her.
Yeah.
Damage.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and one of my favourite artists of all time, who's passed away, unfortunately. Again, a much sampled human being. Don Blackman.
Okay.
He's super sampled. Misha Paris. I work with Incognito. Alexander O'Neill.
See, they're all coming out now, aren't they?
No, it's pretty crazy. I forgot. You know what? It's like, it's one of those things that I'm really proud, but I don't really keep.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. I should have written them down. You're right.
There's a lot to remember, and I think you should write them down. Even if it's just for your daughter, I think you should write them down.
Oh, she's proud. Because she only really knows the three really big ones from the last few years.
Do you know the other? You know, we're locked down, and last summer there, what's it called again? That the big festival.
Reading or no?
The other one. What's the other one called?
Oh, Glastonbury.
So they played Glastonbury old ones, yeah, and Michelle, my sister.
That's what I was, right? I heard about that. Yeah, it was Amy, right?
Frankie's on telly. I said, "Oh, gives a look." It was Amy Winehouse. Yes, there you go.
Do you know what, Fred? I kept getting phone calls for that because they showed we did 2 shows that weekend.
Yeah.
Or that day. Sorry, what weekend? That day. Yeah. They showed the afternoon gig on the big stage.
Yeah.
And then the evening in that smaller jazzy nightclubby one.
Yeah.
She was really out of it at that point, the evening one. But she got it together for the afternoon one.
Yeah.
The afternoon was it the 180,000 people? Amazing. It was my second gig with her. Because we warmed up. We warmed up with a gig in Bristol a couple of nights before.
Yeah.
So my second gig was that Glastonbury gig.
Yeah.
And then it was really weird because, because my drum endorsement company was like really excited, so they gave me a brand new kit, right? I got this custom made drum kit. But with a new drum kit, right? They don't, when it comes out of the factory, out of the boxes, they don't tighten everything properly. Yeah. Right? So halfway through that gig, in fact, if you watch the whole thing on YouTube, there's a big pause in the middle because everything came undone, right? And then I've looked around, my tech is going, right? And then there's a bit in it where she goes, "Are you ready? You ready, Frankie?" Or something like that. She says, "Are you ready?" Right? And I'm like, no, I'm kind of giving her a thumbs up. I'm nervous as hell because there's 180,000 people.
There's a big crowd.
Only 180,000. And it was raining, and oh boy, I was so nervous because everything just came apart. But it's in that on YouTube where there's a big gap, and she's kind of waiting for me to tighten the nuts and bolts. Yeah, so we did that.
Yeah. So what you need to do, I think, Frank, is the things like the YouTube and that you need to you catalog all of that and keep it all together. All of those, because they get repeated a lot now. On these other channels like Top the Pops 2 and all of that. Yeah, and you pop up every so often. You're popping up all the time. I think you should. I'd love to be able to get it all and keep it all together. And same for obviously.
Yeah, people just text me or something and say, "Oh, you're on Sky Arts or something," and I'm like, "Okay, all right." And I love that, but it's like I don't really have Sky Arts, so I'll never see these things. And then somebody called me and said, "Oh, I just saw you on the Amy Winehouse documentary." I'm like, what? Oh. Yeah. And then somebody called saying, "Oh, you're on the Unplugged. George Michael was on Sky Arts Unplugged." Yeah. And loads of and of course Craig David, loads of Craig David stuff. Yeah. Which I kept those. I kept quite a few of those because I was kind of quite integral in that band.
Well, obviously for me, it's part of the long lineage of me being proud. So it used to be Osibisa on this. When it's raining, and they'll play Sunshine Day. It always gets played on the radio. I mean,
I know. But, and it's like, I told the radio, and your dad was on.
Yeah, and people I'll say, "Oh, that's my uncle's." They're like, "Yeah, whatever," And when I've seen Top the Pops 2 and all of that, and they've got like what do you call it, Brown Sugar, and Uncle Teddy's there blowing his saxophone. That's my uncle. It's like, yeah, whatever. Of course it is. Like it is. And to the point where people just won't believe you. You know what I mean? Like when you see it.
No. It's all on there. It's like there was another show that they did around that time, right? And it was called not Countdown. I want to talk about. It was called
Cracker
Cue
Jack?
was it called Cue the Music?
Don't remember that
There
one.
you go. Right. It was a guy called Mike Mansfield, right? Or some TV guy with white hair. I just remember him. And he used to be called Cue the Music. And basically, he was like sitting in the studio in a band and go, okay, cue the music. And then the band would play. And my dad was on there. And I was in the studio at that time. I was watching it. And I remember there was another actor were on the same. They were called Mac and Katie Kissoon.
Right, okay.
And we do it. Ooh, we got a lot of living in a few perfection, and we do it. You remember that song, right? I was like, I used to love that song, right? I thought it was a bit cheesy, but I loved it. Anyway, so roll on maybe 25, 30 years later, and Katie and I working, Katie Kissoon is in George Michael's band.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I met her when I was 12, right? And then 30 years later, I'm working with her with George's band. Amazing.
Yeah.
And my dad, so it was called Cue the Music. I'm not sure you can get that on YouTube, but I was on that. I used to go and travel. I used to follow him everywhere. Top of the Pops, Cracker Jack, what was it? Frankie Howard, Seaside Special.
What do you call it? Magpie. Remember
Magpie, yeah. Magpie. I remember.
Swap Shop.
Oh my God.
All these things, loads of shows like that they were on. It was just unreal, you know. Me running around with me.
Music hasn't had that, does it, anymore?
No.
Since Top of the Pops.
Also, when obviously it's in your blood, and I'm running around with, you know, when your dad, Uncle Mac used to come, used to love him coming because he's always give with gifts. You know, shikis,
the big bag of gifts.
Like African gums, like the shiki thing, whistles. I always used to have whistles. Me and Michelle used to always have whistles. The big badge. I was
all around his neck. Because he used to have them around his neck, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he used to give them to work. You know, like, there you go. You have that. In the streets.
He was good like that.
Yeah, all of that. Okay.
Yeah. Your granddad was a superstar.
He was. You should be proud.
Okay. I'm so proud of him.
Last album.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to school in a little village called Ofinsu, which is my auntie Christy used to live there. So when my dad came over from Ghana, he found out that my mother had gone to Canada. So my grandmother and him sent me to my other auntie Christy. Shout out to her and all the family in Peckham, and or wherever it's Campbell. So I came over. And they were in the middle of a tour, a big tour, supporting this album, my dad's group. And it was just such a big record, because it was their third release in 2 years. Yeah. You know, because back then, he used to release like 2 albums a year. These days, you know, I mean, George Michael in 35 years released 6 albums or something, you know, whereas people that used to do two a year.
Yeah.
You know? Well, even Prince had about 58 albums or something.
Yeah, a lot.
In the same time frame as George Michael,
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it was good, I get that, but, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the second album came out in 72, and I came out beginning of 73. So they were promoting that album. And, of course, I wasn't at school at the time, so I was just following them around. And it was just amazing, going to rehearsals and hearing, you know, oh, yeah, sorry. So we're going back to Ofinsu. So I was in this village, and he came over to come and get me, to bring me to the UK, right? And he came to the village, and all the kids are running around him because he looked like a superstar, you know. You know, like when he came to the castle, got all these, looked like a hippie with the clothes. And so he came and got me, and I had to say goodbye to my school. I was really sad, and came over January 73, and this record was just like still really hot. And I remember going to photo shoots with him and just following him around and getting the vibe.
Yeah.
And then I heard this album.
Yes.
Now, this is not the popular one of the 3, right? The one that you've got behind you is probably their best one.
Yeah, and what's my other one I've got here?
Oh, the orange one, the first one.
Yeah, I've got, I can't find the other ones. I should have got them ready. Anyway,
right. The orange one is the first one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Well,
So you had the first one. You got it. Found it?
I'll just keep talking. I'll find it somewhere.
Okay, all right, cool. So the first one's called Osibisa, which has
Yeah.
got the flying elephant on the cover,
Yeah.
and the second one's called Woyaya,
Yeah.
which in Ga means we are going.
Yeah.
That's actually my favorite record because I think it's the best one. But this one means a lot to me because this is one I kind of came over
Game over with, yeah.
from and it was the album that was out, and I was hearing this a lot because it was amazing. Another one from 1973 or 72. So they've got this lovely artwork with the whole band with their elephant logo.
Amazing.
Amazing. So you have Lofty. It's like almost like my godfather.
Yeah.
He used to just laugh and he just throw me around the room and laugh all the time. There's Uncle Teddy.
Yeah.
There's Robert Bailey, the keyboard player, amazing. He's the one that taught me keyboards a little bit at the time. Then you have Spartacus.
Yeah. The Radical.
The bass player, really amazing guy. Then you've got Wendell, who's still around and still gigs with the band, I think.
Yeah.
He was a singer, guitarist, amazing musician. And then you have Uncle Soul, the drummer.
Yeah.
Great drummer, great musician.
Yeah.
And then there's Kwaku Adamanka Chichri, which is Mac Tontoh.
Yes, man. Uncle Mac.
Give him his other name.
Salute.
Yeah, the captain. Salute to him, man.
Yeah,
that's him right there.
Yeah.
And then you've got another funny one at the back because you've got a little soul again. Yeah. So you can, it's a gatefold, but again, I bought this second hand actually. And it's a great cover.
Amazing.
This album cover was made by the guy who designed Santana's album called Abraxas, which has Santana's biggest hits called Samba Pati, or that's right. And the same artwork of Miles Davis' seminal album called Bitches Brew, same artist.
Okay.
Imagine that, getting Miles Davis as artist.
So is that the same guy who did the other first two albums covers?
No, that's Roger Dean. Roger Dean did the first two. This isn't Roger Dean, no.
Right, okay.
This is another guy. I did a bit of research on him. And it turns out he did Abraxas and Bitches Brew, which are the most incredible album covers. Right?
Yeah.
But my favourite part of this is all the tour photos inside. Have you seen this, Fred?
Yeah. I've got the CD. I haven't got that. It's a funny thing about, you're proud of your uncles and stuff, but obviously as a kid we didn't buy our records, and my dad got them all. So I've only just started buying them on vinyl. I've got them on CD.
Right.
Yes. But I'm like you. I'm buying them second hand now or getting them second hand.
I picked them up. Yeah. I love all these photos because again, I remember that photo shoot because I was there.
Right. Okay. Amazing.
Because I was on the site. In fact, when I was on Facebook, one of the photos is from that me and my dad. You've seen it. You've seen the one.
Yeah.
I'm dressed like a hippie. Right?
Yeah. It is you and your dad standing
there.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So that's from that photo session.
I always say that in the time when we lived, for those who know in Newcastle, we lived in Jesmond, 70 Osborne Avenue. We lived on in Jesmond, and I always remember VW van pulling up. Yeah. I used to sit on the walk. I knew they were coming in. We didn't know what time, them days, there wasn't mobile phones and all that. They were just on their way from London, and the estimated time would be this. And I would sit there on a Saturday, like on the wall, waiting for them to come. And I remember thinking, they're not coming now.
Brilliant.
The van would pull up. All the smoke would be coming out.
Brilliant.
Yeah, VW van would pull up, and then these Afro hippies would jump out with flares, the shikis, big beads on.
Big beads on, hats, the African, and then the high heels, the big chunky boots.
Heels. Yeah, cowboy boots. I got a pair of cowboy boots off my Uncle Mac. Uncle Mac, give us a pair. Cowboy boots.
Well, let me tell you a story about that, right? So Saturday Night Fever comes out, right? Yeah. 1977. And I wasn't that tall in those days, right?
77, yeah.
78. Oh, 78? 78? Maybe. Anyway, I wasn't very tall, right, in those days. And I said to him, I really want to see this film because it's like, it's actually past my age limit, right?
Yeah.
It's because I think there was an X. You remember they used to be called X?
Yeah, X. Yeah.
Yes. No, what are they now? PG and all. And I said, look, I want to go see the film. Can I borrow one of your boots, right? Because I want to look taller, you know. And I did. I bought this. They were like blue and white, blue and white checkered. They were checkered boots, right? And so it gave me about another 2.5 inches taller, and I got in to see Saturday Night Fever.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Because I would have been 13 then or something, right? And you know, an X film you have to be 18, didn't you, or something?
Yeah.
So I've lagged my way in.
Also, I remember this album as well, because this was the album that. Is this the first album you were ever on? First vinyl?
First record I ever played on, yeah.
Yeah, so Uncle Mac.
First album. It was the first album I played on. I played on a couple of their singles before that, but that was my first ever album, yeah.
Yeah, first album. And obviously, you were brought in, obviously, how old were you, 18, 19?
I was 18, yeah.
18, you know, amazing.
1982.
Obviously, again, it's one of those, I remember I got in touch with you a month or two ago and saying, I really want this.
Well, yeah.
It's funny because, you know, when you're younger, you sort of...
You only bought that recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I've just bought it recently, yeah. Because I'm trying to catch up with all of the... My dad keeps saying, when I've got these here, I'm saying, no, I want my own. I want them in my collection because I have never had them. Do you know what I mean? I've had them on tape and stuff.
That
and also...
was too much fun, though.
Was what, sorry?
This album and the tour that followed, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I remember seeing like videos of you, like obviously the 2 drums.
Yeah. That was amazing. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see that. You can see me like how old was I? 19 on the Marquee.
London Marquee.
live on the Marquee with an afro.
Yeah.
Yes, folks. I used to rock an afro.
Yes, you did.
Didn't I, baby? Like I used to rock an afro, and then it turned into Stevie Wonder. It was a cane rose and with the beads.
Yeah.
And then it went to Michael. Then luckily Michael Jordan became really popular with a bald head. So yeah, because if Jordan hadn't shaved his head, man, where would we be? He was all high top before him, wasn't it?
Forget Jordan. What about Potato? Potato knew what he
was. Yeah, Potato. Yeah. Oh my God, man, he used to spend about an hour doing that every morning.
What, shaving it?
He used to spend, and he used to just like really groom it, and because it was so shiny, he had to do it every day.
Yeah. To
get it like that, it was like watching this. It's a work of art. You know, like go in his room. Oh, he's so funny. I'm really missing. But sit in his room and he just, you know, those old African men. They don't really talk. They just give you wisdom. You know, it's like a life lesson. You're sitting on his hotel room bed, and he said, so, you know, and it was just like philosophies all the time, you know. And as for a guy, apparently, he never learned to read or write.
Wow. Okay.
So when it came to filling in his passport stuff at the airport, my dad would do it.
Okay.
But, man, wisdom. You know, he wasn't academic because he wasn't. So it was amazing. The first time I saw that it was weird. You know, when you're a kid and you see that, like you like the airport, you have to immigration or something. You know, and all you hear is "Kwaku." That's my dad's name, right? You go "Kwaku," and then my dad would come up and start filling.
Same as mine.
Oh, you're a Wednesday boy.
Ah! Wednesday boy. I'm Kwaku as well. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
Wednesday boy. Okay. It's like all you hear is "Kwaku," and then my dad will go over and start filling in the forms for him. But, you know, to be in his room and he's shaving and he's going, and he's just telling you stories. And you're like, wow, this is beautiful. 4 years.
It's hard for people to understand, obviously, the impact of Osibisa and the driving force. You know, I think it's fair to say that Uncle Mac, you know, your dad, was one of the main driving forces behind Osibisa. Uncle Teddy was the sort of the thinker and the organizer.
The organizer, yeah. But the
energy, Uncle Mac, yeah. And
that's why he was called Mr. Energy. I mean, that's what Uncle Teddy used to call him that on stage, Mr. Energy, because it was all that.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, get the crowd going.
because I wasn't very confident at
Yeah.
first. Because I remember I said I was quite thick, skinny, and I wasn't really like. I used to play really like that, and then Soul would do all that. You know? There's two of us, two drummers, the original guy and me.
Yeah.
And I was like 17. I was like, and man, he used to give me a hard time, my dad, because he'd be like vibing the crowd, running up and down.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
And then he would spin round and see me go like this. He'd go, Frankie. He used to do that. And then it's like, you know, when you're watching that for 4 years, Fred, right?
Yeah.
You're watching that because you're sitting back here and you're seeing that.
Yeah.
You got to learn, you know, watch that. You know,
it's funny because, you know, the first time I went to Ghana, I land, okay, and typical KLM, they've left my suitcase in Amsterdam, okay. I'm waiting at the turnstile at the roundabout thing, you know, for my case to come, and it's not there, okay, and I hear this noise, literally hear this noise in Kotoko Airport, I turn round, ready. Uncle Mac strutting,
oh my God.
The military's there, because they've been having problems with thieves and stuff around in the country, okay, in the crowd. And the military's everywhere, and the whole people just part, okay, and I can't, you know, it's probably hard for people to understand, but Osibisa, were like the Beatles in Ghana. They're like the Beatles of Ghana. Okay.
Yeah.
And when Uncle Mac came walking through the airport, people moved out of the way. The army was scared. The army was scared of Uncle Mac. I'm just going to finish the story. So walk in. He says, "Where's his suitcase?" And the guys were saying, "Oh, Uncle Mac." Everybody knew him. Yeah. He says, "Where's this is my nephew. He's come from UK. Where's his suitcase? Oh, it's coming in 2 days' time because it's still in Amsterdam. Make sure it does. I'll be back 2 days." Yeah, yes, uncle. Then we'll come through the airport. Yeah. Okay. We get out. We get into his Jeep. Okay. We drive from the airport and we're driving through the streets and they've got these barrack, like the blockades, you know, the checkpoints.
Yeah, blockades, yeah.
Where they're stopping.
Checkpoints,
cars. They stop the car and these guys, young soldiers, start pointing guns at the car. And I'm sitting in the back with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I'm sitting there and I'm panicking. I'm scared. You know, I've never had guns like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the point is as well, they look really young and keen. They look like they wanted to do something.
Yeah. Hungry.
Uncle Mac presses his button on his car, window goes down, says, "What?" Yeah, literally what? The general comes forward or whatever. Yeah. "Oh, uncle." He looks at the boys and slaps them. "Don't you know this, uncle?" Starts speaking in Twi in it.
Oh, yeah.
The barricade moves and the car's just allowed to just go through. Didn't search it, didn't do anything.
Unbelievable, yeah.
It's like, whoa.
You would have been, you're like, he's a G.
Yeah. I was just like, whoa. And you hear about it, but until you see it and you feel it, you don't know. And it's like, you know, everywhere.
Well, I got used to it because whenever I would go to, I would go every Christmas because his birthday was Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd go to Ghana every year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I never had any of those problems, right? The bags and stuff. Because I've never seen anything like it. Even now, I'm thinking of it, I'm kind of thinking, wow. He used to meet me at the plane.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you get there?
Yeah.
You know, he used to meet me and then we'd go through. I wouldn't have to go through any of that immigration nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but when I was going home, when I was, say like I'm coming back, right? You know, he'd leave me there and I'm going. They see the name, right?
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh, are you Mac Tontoh?" And I was like, no, look, it says Frankie Tontoh. They go, goes, "Oh, right." And then they go, "Oh, right. Well, I can't let you through." And I said, "Why?" Because, well, I need something.
Yeah. Backhanders.
So now he's not there, right?
Yeah.
They think I'm him, and he's not there. So then they want a little backhander, you know, so that I can, you know, I'm going back to UK, you know, sort me out now because he isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, look after me now because your dad's not here. You haven't got those privileges now. You know. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. It was great to just like be met at the plane, not the not even lounge, like at the plane.
The last time I was there, last year, before, and we went to this new spot. This guy's he's a Ghanaian, but he's a young lad, and he's opened this place in Ghana, like, you know, trying to be, you know, like it's a big area. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's where all the young people go to party and stuff, you know, like, but like a nightclub.
Oh, the area, what's that called? You know, it's been 10 years since I've been, so I'm kind of.
I can't remember what it's called anyway, but we went into they've got this like bamboo room upstairs where you go up these stairs. So it's a bit like a tree house. It's like based on a tree house. Yeah. And they've got all these legends on the wall, like pictures. So I'm looking at this photograph and I see Uncle Mac's picture there. And I take a photograph and the guy comes across and says, You like Uncle? Everybody calls him Uncle. Do you like Uncle? I says, yeah. Because he is my uncle. That man there is my dad, and that's his brother. That's his big brother. Frankie, free drinks.
The whole night.
Not all night, but free drinks. They're nearly kissing my feet saying, You're related to him. He's a legend. He's a legend. Then another night, my cousin on my mum's side, her husband takes us out for a drink. Me and my wife out for a drink in this other bar. It's a jazz bar. And he drops in the conversation.
Yeah, under the jazz bar. Yeah.
Yeah, the jazz bar.
What year is it, Fred?
214 or something like that. It's called something like that. It's numbers.
No. What year was it? Sorry.
2019.
Wow, a couple of years ago when you went.
Years ago, right. Yeah. And the guy, 2000.
You see that?
2018 maybe it was. The guy says, my cousin-in-law turns
I saw you when I came back.
Right. Yes.
That's when I was on Newcastle, wasn't I?
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw you when I came back.
That's right. Yeah. And he says, this is you know who this is? And the guy says, who's this? He says, you know Uncle Mac? He says, yeah, Uncle Mac. What about Uncle Mac? He says, this is his nephew. His dad's brother. Yeah. Again, free drinks. Me and Emma were given free drinks. Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, that name has carried me over here. You know, like, honestly, it still carries me now. Because, as I say, people come up to me and they still say, oh, man, I saw your dad in the, some gig somewhere in 1971 and it was amazing. And it just makes you think what an impact they had.
Yeah.
Massive. And I've got through a lot of it. I mean, although I don't do that music, I've got through. I mean, I meet people like in America and they go, man, you're related to Osibisa? Osibisa? Man, those guys were great. I meet people all the time and it's like, wow, it's fabulous, man. The best 4 years apprenticeship ever. I learned a lot about, like people making a statement. People who have, there's musicians like me who have played played music and had some kind of impact here and there. But the ones who are groundbreakers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who, like, when you think about people who move things, like, let's say, Miles Davis or, in whatever genre.
Yeah.
You think that, our family was part of that. It's wicked, isn't it? It's like,
without a doubt.
They actually
without a doubt.
change stuff.
Yeah. And it's hard to sort of pass that on to people because I don't think it's hard for people to understand what it feels like or to understand. Yeah. Because they're not, I don't know, they're not George Michael and because they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I tell people, I say, as big as the Beatles were here or whatever, or known in the Western world, you go to Africa, any country in Africa, and they know.
No, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
And what's really great is also when we say, oh yeah, my dad was an Osibisa, and you don't have to sing Sunshine Day, right? If you don't sing and then you realize, okay, so people heard them before that.
Yeah.
Where the real impact was, not the commercial stuff. I mean, Sunshine Day is great, but the first three albums.
First three albums.
This one here, right? The third one.
Yeah.
First three albums, you think, wow, what these people were doing was amazing.
Yeah.
So when people remember those, I'm like, wow. There's a friend of mine who just every time he sees me, he just thinks, man, yeah, Your dad was a don. Your dad was a G. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. I mean, I never reached that changing the world thing, but I'm not sure that they were doing that either.
Yeah.
They didn't think, we're going to do this to change. Yeah. They just did it.
Yeah. I DJ'd a year ago, just before COVID. It was February last year. DJ'd down in Darlington, just an hour down the road from Newcastle.
Yeah.
For with the vinyl bundles, with me and Riddler DJ'd before the stereo MCs went on, and I played
stereo MCs. Yeah.
That's the ones, and I played an Osibisa track, which was out the left field one to start off with, and I can't remember. It's is it called C minor or something like that? Off the first or second album, I can't remember what it's called now.
Fallacy. That one?
Not Fallacy. It's something like C minor or I can't remember what it's called.
First album. Okay.
Yeah, first or second album. It's an instrumental anyway. It's my favourite Osibisa stuff because my favourite Osibisa stuff, the instrumental stuff. And honestly, people come across that and go, what's that? What is that you're playing? And I'm saying, it's Osibisa. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. It's just drums, whistles, bass, sax.
All right, okay, hang on. I've got one here.
Survival. Is it Survival? Yeah.
That one,
Yes.
That's on the second album, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Survival opens. I always remember it from the vinyl. Like CDs.
Yeah.
It's just
it's a first song. It's a first song.
First song on the B-side, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely.
No, we're talking about Survival's not the first song on the B-side. It's the first song on the B-side is The Beautiful Seven, isn't it?
It might be that then. I can't remember. I thought it was Survival, but it's one of them.
Okay, would it be?
It starts off like
Oh yeah. That is Survival, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
is that the bit where when he does it and Robert Bailey says, "We might as well take it."
Yes.
And then the producer Tony Visconti, know this name?
Yeah.
David Bowie's producer.
Yeah.
And he said, Robert says, "Might as well take it," and Tony Visconti goes, clicks. We were, Robert. And then Lofty starts again. Yeah.
That's the one.
And then the drum fill, the big drum fill, I always remember, it goes.
That's the one. That is the one. Amazing.
That's Soul trying to be a rock drummer. Do you know he wasn't even a drummer? Yeah, he was. It's by default. He started playing drums.
Wow.
In the band. He came in the band as a bongo player, right?
Uh-huh.
And their original drummer was a guy called Remy Kabaka, right?
Okay.
Do you remember that? And Remy left Osibisa right before they started. He went on to join a band called Air Force with Ginger Baker from Cream.
Yeah.
So he joined that band, and so somebody had to play drums.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
To see his history. Okay, Frankie, we're at the end. We've run over time, but I've enjoyed it.
We've done 2 hours, Fred.
But I've enjoyed it.
Brilliant, man.
Hard too. Have you got any last words before we go?
I want to say, wow, it's just beautiful to bond with you again, bro.
Yeah, good stuff.
I missed you a lot, and it's just great to just reminisce and go back to our childhood, man.
We've never really talked about this before, have we? Like about what it means.
No. This is that we're doing it live here.
Yeah. Because
to be able to do that,
you've lived it. You've lived it.
Yeah.
I've lived it on the outside of it, but obviously it's still part of my sort of like.
But I love the way you and your sisters and your brother have been so supportive. I mean, every time I used to go up with, like, I remember Frank came to see me. I was playing with Omar, and we played in Leeds, or Brett, whatever it was. And he just showed up. I always made sure he, VIP,
Yeah.
getting the ramp sorted for him. He got Sheffield Arena. I remember he came there once.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the support from you, Mish, Frank, just amazing.
No.
And, because we got back when we were kids, summers in good old Killingworth.
Bailey Green School Field.
Oh, boy. I remember well.
Cricket and football.
But I'm glad he sent me in the summer, though, because that your country there is cold up there, bro.
even in the summer.
I've never really experienced it until I did a gig. I did, what's that called? I did a gig with Aztec Camera, my first gig in Newcastle, 1989 or 90. And it was about February. Mm-hmm. And it was at Newcastle Town Hall. Was it Town? No, what's it called?
City Hall.
City Hall. That's it.
Yeah.
I remember I was thinking, man, my family's from up there. I don't remember this weather. I just remember August, wasn't it? I used to come up in June, July, August. I couldn't believe how cold it was up there.
Okay, we can carry on.
We're done.
I'm going to stop the recording. So just to say, don't forget, we are the Vinyl Vandals. This has been a Vinyl Vandals Favourite 5 special with my very, very special cousin, Frankie Tontoh, son of Mac Tontoh from Osibisa. Check out the music; it's still around. Like I say, you can, even if it's just on Spotify, but buy some of the stuff, Heads, and the rest of the albums. Yeah. Don't forget DJ Riddler every Monday night, 7 till 9 on Method Radio. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Peace.
Nice one. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.